Condition really is called continuity of the chain, or ittisal as-sanad. The chain of narration should be continuous, no break in it. How would they know if there's a break? Well, as I told you, people are recording who sat in the circles. So if so-and-so mentioned he heard a hadith, they would go back and check those students who had recorded material of who sat in the circle of this sheikh, and if his name was not on the roster, then they know he didn't meet him. There's a break. Right? Or they recorded information about when they were born and when they died, where they lived. So if, for example, the scholar that he was supposed to be narrating from, he died when that narrator was only 2 years old, hey, he couldn't have heard it from him. He couldn't have heard it from him. Right? And they had a condition that children used to come and listen. So there were children who did hear hadiths and did narrate them. Ibn Shihab was among them. He learned from the time he was like 7 years old. They set an age. They said, when a child is able to distinguish between a donkey and a horse, then he can narrate. Right? It means his mind has matured to the point, because for a kid there's a point where the kid, everything is a horse. Right? Everything is a horse. When he reaches the point where, yeah, he knows what a donkey is, he knows what a horse is. He has now reached a level of comprehension to say, okay, from that point, his narrations will be, and this is around the age of 7, this is also the age, Prophet ﷺ had said, a man and woman divorce, when the child is around the age of 7, they have the right to choose which parent they want to go with at the time of divorce. Because this is where they have that ability to distinguish. And that's why Prophet ﷺ also said, teach your children salah when they're 7. You see? At 7, and actually, even Western educationalists, they do talk about the age of 7 and the age of 10, as the Prophet ﷺ spoke about 1,400 years ago. Anyway, the point is that by comparing this information about the narrators, when they were born, when they died, where they lived, etc., they were able to identify where there were breaks in the chain and where chains were continuous. So when a person finds a hadith which fulfills these criteria, then that hadith is classified as sahih, or authentic. And what this means then practically is that we have a piece of information coming from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam which we must accept. We must accept it, because Allah said, "Ma ataakumur rasul fakhudhu." Whatever the messenger has given you, take it. "Wa ma nahakum anhu fantahu." And whatever he has prohibited you, leave it. So you must. If it comes to you, you must take it. This is a requirement. Allah said in the Quran, "May yuti' ar-rasul faqad ata'a Allah." Whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed Allah. So when that information comes in an authentic chain of narration, it is an obligation on us to follow it. And this is what the deen is built on. This is what determines whether we do something or whether we don't do it. If it comes to us in an authentic chain of narration, it becomes a pillar of the religion. If the chain is not authentic, then we cannot build law. We cannot build practice on information which is not authentic. So this analysis of hadith is very, very important in establishing the correct Islamic practices, because it should be noted that the great Imams, Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Al-Shafi'i, Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal, these Imams established their rulings, etc., before the major compilations of hadith. So it means that they did so without having access to this critical analyses which were done after their time. Now there was some analysis being done in their time. I will not say there was not any, and they themselves tried to do what they could, but they were not as specialized as those who came after. As a result, you will find in the different schools practices which are either based on weak hadiths, or they are rulings made without hadith because no hadith was available. So the scholar would have extracted some principle from the Quran and applied it, when there are in fact hadiths which contradict the conclusion that they've come to. Or the chain of narration may have come to them in a weak channel, but there is also an authentic channel which they were not aware of. So this is the reality. This is why when you go from one school to another, you will find things in them which are not correct. In the Shafi'i school, for example, every Salatul Fajr they make qunut. Now this practice is based on a hadith, but the hadith is weak. The point. In the Hanafi school, it is typical for men to place their hands below their navel in salah. There is a hadith.